What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. With the Yorick Rework finally being released, the Yorick Rework isn't too far off, and a lot of you guys have been asking me to take a look at and share what I know about the Yorick Rework, and there's actually a ton of information available for him, since his rework has been in development for an extremely long time. So today we're taking a look back at what we know about the development for Yorick's rework, as well as what we know about the design and potential design for Yorick's future. And there's a lot to learn, and it's honestly pretty easy to see how his rework is probably going to end up once it finally launches. And if you guys enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like or maybe a dislike if you didn't. Anyway, the Yorick rework is now currently being developed by the same team that worked on the Poppy rework, and they're planning on having it out before the end of 2016, or at the very latest, early 2017. And it's going to be a rework on the same level as Scion and Poppy, where he's going to get a totally new and just revamped kit, model, splash art, lore, and just about everything else you could think of. And the fact that it's gone through so many delays and missteps is probably a big indicator that the final product is going to be pretty damn awesome. A lot of the delay for the Yorick rework though really does come down to a lack of direction and uncertainty of how to design him to be an awesome champion. Riot Ghostcrawler commented on Yorick and said that he's been a real challenge to design, and he said essentially that finding the right theme has been tough. So it's still possible that the Yorick rework might not entirely be exceptional. Now, although Yorick is now being worked on the team that reworked Poppy, which is being led by Riot's Scruffy and I guess Riot Solo Crushed as well, the original development for Yorick's rework was worked on by Riot Xelnath, which began sometime around 2013 or so, who teased a handful of different designs that he had tested out and shown on a long forum post. Xelnath planned out the rework with community feedback and came to a lot of conclusions that you will almost certainly see occur in Yorick's future design. The Xelnath versions of the Yorick rework did get iceboxed for a bit, but he eventually passed on the project, and Riot Solo Crushed and Riot Scruffy are finishing it up now. But from the Xelnath projects and forum posts, we can take multiple things that will be pretty much guaranteed, I would say, for Yorick. The first thing Xelnath brought up is why Yorick needs a rework in the first place. Loads of champions just get a little tuning or maybe some minor mechanics tweaks and they can be fine, but Xelnath described Yorick as someone who is just a brick wall in lane with no counterplay, who often loses the game when he can't turn that power into a victory later on. And he actually went on to say that Yorick is the most toxic kind of experience a champion can bring to League of Legends, and that he is definitely going to get a completely new kit, rather than one that just feels like it had some tweaks or improvements, or maybe just one or two new abilities. It's possible that all 5 of Yorick's abilities will be affected, and most of them will be significantly changed for sure. It's possible that the Yorick rework will maybe even be the biggest and most significant rework to ever occur in League of Legends history. And I mean, that's not entirely hard to believe, considering it's also the rework that has definitely had the most development time overall take place. I mean, the Yorick rework has been in development for just a little over 3 years now. And during the discussion that Xelnath had about the rework with the community, he was having a really hard time coming to a direction of where to take Yorick's theme gameplay-wise. And there was a big conflict of Yorick being either this melee fighter that brawls it out with people, or with him being this minion commander, and he brought the conflict to Riot Morello, who said that Yorick being this necromancer kind of guy, that's Yorick's niche. That's his unique design space, and the potential for a champion that revolves entirely around summoning ghouls and being an undead summoner is unique. And that doesn't mean that he has to be a squishy caster kind of champion, but that theme is definitely the way to go for Yorick. So from that conversation, we can expect Yorick to probably still be somewhat bruisery, but his gameplay is definitely going to revolve entirely around summoning ghouls and interacting with them in some way, shape, or form. And that design will be much more interesting than his current one. This way, Yorick's character also gets kept intact at least a little bit. I mean, if you took away Yorick's ghouls, honestly at that point you aren't really reworking Yorick anymore, you're kind of just designing a totally new champion. And that's never something you want to see in a rework, regardless of how poorly designed the initial champion is. And from testing out a couple of gameplay kits, Xelnath made a few things clear for any potential redesigns that Yorick will have. First off, Yorick has to feel like he's controlling an army. So he's still going to have multiple ghouls, and an ultimate that summons like some crazy amount, like 5, 10, maybe even more ghouls, is one of the more prominent ultimates that were tested that showed a little bit more potential than some of the others. As well, Yorick's ghouls need to have some element of decision making for the Yorick player to make them feel like they can make skillful plays, which means that they're going to interact with and do stuff to his ghouls after they're already summoned. And the players playing against Yorick also need to feel like there is meaningful counterplay, so his ghouls are likely going to be killable, but the reward for killing a ghoul will probably be more meaningful, or at the very least there will be some sort of decision that your opponents will be able to make with the ghouls and the mechanics surrounding them. As well, Yorick is still going to be able to duke it out on the front line, and his ghouls are probably going to last much longer and be more meaningful, as well as probably giving some gold for opponents when they're killed. Xelnath also brought up a couple of things that the Yorick rework will most definitely not have. Those things include, but are not limited to, short duration ghouls that are attackable, as well as gameplay that has the illusion of counterplay, and gameplay that punishes players for attacking ghouls. The current version of Yorick has all three of those things, and from that it's pretty clear that Yorick's ghouls will not be temporary and short-lasting. They will either be permanent or long-lasting and temporary, and they'll still be a massive part of his kit, even more so than before most likely. He's not going to have the same ultimate that he does now, and he almost certainly will get a totally new ability on his ultimate, likely based on interacting with his ghouls. Yorick's current ultimate makes the gameplay moments for the Yorick player have a lot of problems design-wise, and the ability is just way too situational to ever feel good as an ultimate. Xelnath also mentioned that Yorick will not be a hybrid champion, as one of the things that has now caused a lot of the hidden power or creates that illusion of counterplay in Yorick right now, as well as kind of making him confusing to play, is the mixed damage and that mixed damage scaling in his kit, so Yorick's definitely going to be strictly attack damage or strictly magic damage for sure, barring some kind of design that forces an exception. Fast forward a couple of years later, after the Xelnath forum posts, and Riot Meddler also commented on the forums about 6 or 7 months ago, I think, about the Yorick rework and shared some of the design concepts for the Yorick rework that's probably going to come. Meddler said that Yorick will most likely be a juggernaut type of character, and based off of his minion theme, he's likely going to have strong pushing power, with good sieging, counter pushing, or split pushing power, or probably some combination of the three. And it's pretty clear that his character is going to be all about ghoul minions and melee fighting. And Riot Scruffy, one of the designers on the Yorick team, also commented saying that Yorick will be rebuilt from the ground up, with the core elements that they are going off of for his design being the character of a ghoul summoner and an imposing melee fighter. Xelnath did also present about 7 full gameplay kits to mess around with ideas for what he might make Yorick into, and those kits were taken by the Rioters who eventually took on the Yorick project after Xelnath passed it on. However, since it's literally about 7 complete and fully designed gameplay kits with all 5 abilities fleshed out, I'm going to actually be taking a look at those potential abilities sometime later this week in a different video, since I don't want to make, one 20-25 minute video talking specifically about Yorick. So stay tuned for that one coming in the next few days. Either way, one thing's pretty clear about Yorick is that he's very likely going to be one of, if not the most significant and gameplay changing rework League of Legends has ever seen. And it's been in development for over 3 years now, so it's hopefully going to be just awesome, and I can't wait to play a revamped version of Yorick and try out a more necromancer-y, undead army summoner kind of guy once he hits the live servers. Anyway, it looks like that's it for me today. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe if you want. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.